cannot wait to go in here, look at all the history of this museum. I have been wanting to come here for a long time. It's open all year except for late December and early January, and I will leave all that information in my description box. Okay, I think I'm ready. I'm excited to read all about the history of this beautiful prison, and I'm taking you on the adventure with me. Let's go. Look at this. It's so quiet. Oh, I can't wait to go in there. Okay, so we are now going outside to the prison. So when you pay, we paid $18 where you can see 5 museums. But here in the old Montana prison, they give you a self-guided tour. And so if you see right over here, there's a number for each one. And so here we go. So you look in your book, and which is the self-guided tour, and it says 1 location of 1896 cell house. Okay, so right here it talks about the building, and it talks about what year it went up, and it gives you some kind of history on it, which is really good. And this was the old Montana prison, how it looked. So make sure you get your book, and then you look at the number for your self-guided tour. So this side here was a location of the 1896 cell house. It was an enormous red brick cell house with rounded towers loomed over the city of Deer Lodge until 1959, when it was damaged by an earthquake, and then it was torn down. Yes, they do get earthquakes here. Then in 1960, a slab was poured as a foundation for a gymnasium and classroom buildings. Both buildings were later moved to the new prison, which is just down the road here from this old prison. Yeah, so that building must have been pretty nice for them to have just picked it up and taken it to the new one. Okay, so as we're walking, I have to tell you guys something. Kind of reminds me of the Tower of London in England. It really has that kind of towers. And do you remember, if you've seen my past vlogs at the Fort Assiniboine, they had these towers too. Do you remember? These were the lookout towers. So if you look down here, it is like, it's all like brick wall. It's not brick, it's stone. In 1893, the oldest existing structure is the massive sandstone wall. It was built with convict labor and local quarried stone. The wall replaced a 12-foot high wooden fence. The wall is 24 feet high. It is 3 feet thick at the top, and don't try and dig out if you was ever in here, because it was 4.5 feet thick at the bottom. So I'm sure like many prisoners tried to like dig their way out, and they couldn't get out because it's 4.5 feet thick down there. Wow, that's, yeah, they were sure thinking when they did this, weren't they? Look at that. That is like stone, you guys. And trying to climb up there, yeah, I don't think so. So, 1896 cell house overcrowding reached a critical point by the spring of 1896. The cell capacity of 182 was exceeded by 150 prisoners who were confined in a single log building without cells. The log building was deemed insecure, unsafe, and liable to destruction by fire by the State Board of Prison Commissioners. On April 27, 1896, the board authorized the construction of a new cell house. So this prison was overpopulated. I think not only do you have the stress of being on top of each other, well, actually having the stress of where you've made wrong choices and got in here, and then you have the added stress of being on top of each other because there was no room for all the prisoners. What a life that would be, eh? Not good. Okay, so if you see right here, it's like an out of bounds step. Inmates were not allowed to proceed beyond this area without a pass or being with a guard. If inmates crossed this line without authorization, the guard that was posted in Tower 7 could shoot them. Oh my gosh. That wouldn't be very good, would it? I mean, you just walk in, you say hi to your friends. Hello, how's it going? Yep. And you're just looking at things. And say if you forget to look down on the floor. Oh my God, you've just passed it and then bang. Wow. That's pretty... Yeah, it looks like there's a distance between the two maybe for some reason. I don't know, but... yeah. I wonder if that guard though would give you a chance, like, hey, get back! Don't cross that line! I don't know. Maybe. I hope so. But I don't know. Okay, so now we're at Station 5. In 1931, this became the administrative building. It was the heart of the security and prison operations. Here, new prisoners were admitted, inmates received visitors, and departing prisoners were consoled about outside employment. So let's go in. First off, hang on, there's the administration building. So they came in through here. You really had to come through this door. Then you had to come through that door. And then you had to come through this door. So it was really high security if you came in here. But you know, I was reading about this prison because I was just so fascinated by it. And some prisoners, like, they walked through and like this was life. Life was over as they knew it to the outside. And people said, like, when I was reading on it, they said that when they walked in this door, they lost their soul. How depressing is that with that thought, right? Okay, so now we are going into the administrative buildings, and this is probably when they got checked in by the warden. And in the visiting room, this is where it would be, with this chain link fence, and you would have one guard there and one guard there. So there was no privacy when you had a conversation with somebody. This was it. So they heard all your conversation. But what I noticed was a painting up here, and it's dated April 29th, 1971. So it shows you the layout of the prison. Well, remember that slab out there? Well, that red building is still there, but look at these two grey ones. The gymnasium is gone, but the other building was transferred over to the new jail because it wasn't that old. Remember, it was redone after the earthquake, so that gives you a layout of what it looked like. This was a visiting area where you could visit with someone, but look, you could not poke things through or give them something to take with them. I mean, it is a hard time to kind of see them, but that is what this area was for. And here is a glass case that showed all the things contraband. These were all prohibited by the state law. And I got to tell you something about these shoes. Yeah, the shoes were sealed with concrete soles. Inmates who were thought to be a potential escapee were made to wear these shoes. Each shoe weighs about 20 pounds. Okay, so here is the captain's room right here. All the cell house, their numbers. Some information on here. Here is the medical and dental room. And the inmates did arts and crafts, and this is some of their work. And here is another set of offices that were here. And this was some of the dressing that the inmates wore. Shirt, pants, and shoes. There wasn't enough money or enough labor to do all this building back up. So they had the inmates do the work. But there was still a shortage of money. Okay, so there really was an execution, and it's called the execution of George Rock. In 1908, George Rock was executed by hanging. A year later, William Hayes met a similar fate. Rock and Hayes killed Deputy John Robinson and severely wounded Warden Frank Connolly in an escaped attempt. There is another tower up there where the wardens were. So remember that tall wall? Look, there's wire added to it. In case you did think you could climb it. I don't think so. That is like added security there. So we're going here. It's called Siberia East, and this is an isolation for the troublesome inmates. Oh boy, yeah. My gosh, look at that. All it has is a toilet and a sink. It is really cold in here. I'm sure they didn't put the heat on for them. Oh, but there's a radiator here.
That's your room.
Okay guys, here's your room. All there is a mattress, and that was probably a toilet. Wow, yep, and again, this is for the prisoners that were like really troublesome and really, really naughty. But look how thick this, oh, look how thick that door is. Oh wow, yeah, then there's two of them. Two of them here, another one here. Oh, that was your light. And this was probably a shower room, do you think? Yeah, look. Yeah, it's a shower. Oh, yeah.
There was no privacy.
Nah, there was absolutely no privacy here, none whatsoever. This is another part of the area of the prison. They were probably allowed out here. But again, look at that wall. And there's another guard station right there, another tower. So you always have eyes on you. If you think you can hide or escape at night, that isn't happening. So here we are on 11. So where we were just on the east side, that was like complete isolation. They were not allowed to come out, see anybody. They were just isolated. They just stayed in there until they were allowed out. Around the back of that this is West Siberia. This was where difficult prisoners were placed in these cells to isolate them from the rest of the prison population. After breakfast, the doors were unlocked and the inmates were allowed into the enclosed exercise yard for the entire day. But seriously, guys, look at this. Is it? There's your yard right here.
No view.
Yeah, there's no view. Again, you have eyes on you up there on that tower. And on this tower up here. Okay, so here's West Siberia. And remember, the difficult prisoners were in here, not the isolations ones, just the difficult ones. And oh, look how dark that cell is. There you go. If you're going to be difficult, you're going to be punished for it. And this is where you're going to be. Big old bars. Look, there's probably where you got your breakfast. And you got to sit in here. Yeah. Oh. And there's a shower. It's really dark in there, you guys. Oh, I don't know, I couldn't. Yeah. Nothing like getting... Oh my gosh, there was a face in there and it just scared the life out of me. Oh my... Oh, that was frightening. Look. Can you guys see that? Oh, that just gave me a bloody heart attack. That was scary, you guys. Oh, I've got to get out of here, Paul. Oh gosh, you guys, I got the EGBGs. Go on, run. Oh, I was not expecting that, seriously. Oh, blimey, that was scary. All right, let's go to another area. Oh, okay. It is a lot. I mean, granted, it's a prison, but I mean, it was well planned, wasn't it? And laid out. Again, these are the cells walking around the corner here. Oh, I'm still trying to calm my heart down from seeing that thing in that cell. Yeah. It's the back side of that. Okay. So then we're going to go in here. Okay, let's go in here. This is the prison life exhibit. This is what it was like to be a prisoner. Prison life in the 1960s. I'm not going to go around every wall, you guys, but this is just to give you an idea of what it was like. And it shows you real pictures, and as you see, it comes with a description there. So hopefully you can come out and see this prison. So right here, the inmates played baseball here in the field. Games between the prison team and community teams were regularly scheduled. So they did get some outside time. And look, they have like a scoring board up there on how they can keep score. And look, there's the towers right there. Watching every movement that the prisoners made. But look at the views that you had of the mountains. So in 1912, the prison was really overpopulated. And in 11 months, using convict labour, the 1912 cell house was a model facility in its day. Each cell had running water, flush toilets and good ventilation. What I found so interesting over here was when they were out here in the yard, some of the prisoners, look at this guys, wrote their names. Oh, here's a convict's number with his initials. Wow, look at. So here's a thought that just crossed my mind. How did they do that? Look at that. You guys. How did they have the materials to do this? Not unless it was the convicts that worked on this building and put in their names. I don't know. Just food for thought. I just thought of that. So let's take a look inside. This is the actual cell house, you guys. Look at, again, the doors. I mean, I wonder if that was a wooden door or a cell door or a metal door, and they just changed the door because it's now a museum. But I'm sure this was the original door. How thick it is. And there it is. Okay. These were the cells. 2 men to a cell. They had the cupboards here and the toilets and the sink. And it's like really cold down here. There's a list right here of all the prisoners that were housed here back in the day. That's just some of them, you guys. There's 4 stories up here. Up here were where the wardens would walk back and forth, looking at the guards, making sure, looking at the prisoners, making sure everything was okay. Here is a prison cell that's open. I cannot go in here. I don't know why, I just can't go in. Paul, could you go in? Could you take the camera in? My husband's going to do it and I'm going to talk. I don't know why, you guys. Maybe because I'm claustrophobic, for one. But I cannot go in here. I just can't. But there's the double beds for 2 inmates. And then there's your sink, your toilet. And I read that this is your cupboard. And it was sectioned off. One side was for 1 inmate. And the other side was for the other inmate. And that was it. I mean, and look at this. Paul, do you mind if I close this door?
Wasn't there? Probably won't.
Maybe not.
No, I won't close.
No, okay, but I mean, look at the
This is where you spent your life.
What's that?
This is where you spent your days.
Yes, and look at this. I mean, it's so thick. Could you imagine being in here? And especially like if you was upstairs and look at, you'd be able to see out there. You know, it's, thanks Paul for going in there. I couldn't do it, you guys, sorry. But yeah, I just couldn't do that. But yeah, this was your world. This was your life. And again, up there is where the wardens were, that could pay attention to what you was doing. So you couldn't really do much. But could you imagine, like, if you didn't get along with your cellmate? You can't say, excuse me, I don't get along with this person. Could you move me? I don't think you could ever do that. It would be like tough. You deal with it. So, yeah, and along the wall here, it tells you. So there you go. So this is what it would look like. Prisoner would have a top bunk, a bottom bunk. Your sink, your cupboard. Yeah. And it would go all the way down. And these are showers. Privacy? What's privacy? There's no privacy. You take a shower, and it is cold here, you guys. So I bet you froze when you took a shower. Originally, there were 15 bathtubs in this area. This area was complete with Lyle soap and starched linen towels. These 3 shower heads, 1, 2, and 3, later replaced the tubs and served up to 400 inmate showers, were required twice weekly. So here we go. You come down, you're naked, you're with 400 inmates, and you come down here. The first one is to get wet. The second one is to soap up. And the third one is to rinse. You had a linen towel. I'm sure it wasn't warmed up. You dried yourself off. Back in your cell you go. And there you have more cells down here. That would just show you passing something over to the warden. Again, the wardens walked along here and they were passing things over here. That was your communication. So this was like a temporary lockup. That's why you see one bed in here. For the new prisoners that came in, they were called fish. So the new prisoners were stationed here until they got used to the prison life, and then they were sent around the corner where we were with the 2 beds, and that's where they stayed. So there were some movies that were made here. One was called Fast Walking. Others that were filmed here were Runaway Train, Dicktown, The Last Ride, and Love Comes to the Executioner. And that is, of course, after the prison had closed. So the first movie was like in 1984, if I remember correctly. Okay, so here we come to a cell, and it's the life and legend of Turkey Pete. And Turkey Pete was also at San Quentin in San Francisco. There is a book that talks about his life and legend. If you have a chance, read about him. Very, very interesting. So this was the older part of the shower area where the inmates took their showers, but they couldn't control the water. It was the warden that controlled the water, and he also controlled how much water and how warm the water was for that inmate. So you didn't have the luxury of controlling that yourself. So here is the chapel of where they would come to pray and spend their times. But again, there was no privacy, because right here, the wardens would walk back and forth with their guns, and they could control and see everything that was happening in the chapel. All right, so now we're going to go down to a hole, and let me tell you about that. When a prisoner got out of hand, unruly, and other forms of disciplinary action didn't work, they got put in the hole. Alright, again, I'm not going in here, but this was it. This room, no toilet, no nothing. That's your hole, that's your light. I'm going to close the door. Guess what? Your punishment for being in the hole was in here for 10 days. All you got was bread and water. They closed the door, and this little hole right here, that was your light. So after 10 days, they let you out, and you got examined by a doctor. And if the doctor said, no, he's fine, guess what? They put you in for another 10 days if you were still naughty. So 10 days in there, you would sure do a lot of thinking. In the late 60s, this type of incarceration was considered excessive, and Warden Estelle ordered the hole closed in 1969. You know, with these stairs, could you imagine the prisoners like holding onto this wall like, no, I don't want to go in, I don't want to go in, give me another chance, I'm so sorry. Too late, you're in there for 10 days to prove yourself. Yeah, just A lot of emotions in this area, I'm sure. We go into the dining area, and this is where you've got to eat your food. Let me show you this picture on what it used to look like in the kitchen area. And this is where you sat and you ate your food. So after you finished eating your breakfast and dinner and lunch, maybe you would have the privilege of walking into this room and being able to watch telly. It's the TV room, but look at that little telly. That definitely is dated back into the 60s. All right, so here is a tunnel. All right, so we're going to walk down. And this was the tunnel.
Yeah, this is just where the guards would be.
Yeah, this is only where the guards would be. So that would probably go upstairs, but that's not open for us. But this is where the guards would be. So I've put my light on here so you can see. But do you remember when we were in the chapel, how they had this area with the, well, look out. They could look out. Hey, what are you guys doing in there? You know, he could correct them, look in here. And remember, the warden had a gun. And then we would walk down here. And there you go. And this is the theatre, so I don't know if we can get in there yet until we walk around. I'm so glad Paul's with me, you guys, because I wouldn't be I wouldn't be in this tunnel by myself. Ah, here we go. So there's what we looked through. And that's the warden, and they could see everything that's going on. Here is a canteen. This concrete addition to the administration building was the canteen, and inmates could buy cigarettes, they could buy shaving cream, they could buy stationery, pop, snack food and other items, but there was no money that was exchanged in the amount of purchase, and it was subtracted from an inmate's account, so they had their own accounts. Several times, inmates broke into the canteen through the concrete wall, and yeah, so because they probably didn't have any money or anything. This is probably when you got your food from the canteen. This was tables where you could sit outside and eat. So here is the Clark Theatre, which it seated like 600 people, and the funds were donated by W.A. Clark Jr. in 1919. He was the son of the Butte Copper King, and he patented it after the Renaissance agriculture and decorated it with paintings done by inmates. The theatre hosted a variety of events, including boxing matches, meetings, religious services, movies, plays, and prison band performances. The theatre was gutted by fire in 1975. Although the fire was deliberately set, no one was ever charged. We couldn't go into the theatre, yeah, because of it's not safe, you guys, but the pigeons, they've kind of made it their house, I think. And there are grates and you can look in there and see things, but yeah, look at the building is falling apart. So totally understandable why we're not allowed in the theatre. Here is a basketball court. So they could really do a lot of things out here. I mean, there was a lot of privileges. On the afternoon of April 16th, Jerry Miles and Lee Smart led a band of inmates in a violent riot against prison authorities. Seizing a rifle from the catwalk guard, they took control of the 1912 cell house. See all those cells? Well, Jerry and Lee took over this. They forced their way into the administration building. The rioting inmates shot and killed Deputy Warden Ted Roth and then took 19 prison employees and 5 inmates called the stool pigeons. So what a stool pigeon is the prisoners that ratted on each other, told on others. And they took them as hostages. So the inmates threatened to burn the hostages alive if any attempt was made to rescue them. In a daring rescue plan formed by Warden Floyd Powell, National Guardsmen fired a bazooka at the northwest tower of the cell house where the rioting inmates were headquartered. The blast stunned the inmates long enough for a rescue team to free the hostages. Miles and Smart were found dead in the 3rd floor of the tower, apparently a double suicide. Although the riot drew attention to the numerous problems within the prison, it would be another 20 years before the old prison was closed down. This is the men's side. What happened to the women? They were over here. It was a woman's prison in 1907. So let's walk through. So this is the women's side. Again, look at this door. Just a steel door. But that 1907 wasn't the first year that a woman came to this prison. In 1878, the first woman was incarcerated in Montana. She was originally held in the same cell house as the men on the 3rd floor of the federal building. When joined by another female in 1879, it soon became apparent that a separate women's facility was necessary. Through the years, a variety of buildings were used to house the women. And in 1907, this building was constructed as the women's prison. Today, the women's prison is located in Billings, Montana. So this is the building, and this is the court where they were allowed to come out. Here we go. 1907 was when this building was put in. Oh, again, it is cold in here. There's the matron looking over everything. And there's a cell, maximum security. So here you go, there's the cell door. And that's where you got your food. And this is the maximum security. This is where, if you weren't going by the rules, you were defiant. This is where you were separated from everybody else. When you went round the corner, this is called the black box cell. Look how dark it is before the light goes on. And then when the light goes on, inmates were locked in these cells for a period of 1 to 10 days and were placed on a bread and water routine. Every 3rd day, they were given a hot meal. There's your shower. And these are more cells. That is dark. And remember, it could house up to 20 women at a time. Here's some information about these women. In 1936, Muriel Murphy became the youngest woman in Montana at that time, and she was convicted of first-degree murder. And she was only 15. Yeah, that's the youngest woman that was here. And this is what your cell would look like with a bed. Okay, so I'm on the back side of the women's prison. Oh, look at this, guys, look. 1951. May 3rd, 57. 57 and 56. This is still in the women's courtyard. Again, look, you do have a tower to watch your every move. That's it for my vlog, you guys. Thank you for coming on the adventure with me. If you are in the Deer Lodge area, you need to come to the Old Montana prison here in Deer Lodge. There is so much information here. I seriously did not cover over half of it, and there's so much you can read. Plan on spending a lot of time here. And don't forget, there are 5 museums altogether that you can visit. Definitely come for a weekend or spend a couple of days here. You won't regret it, you really won't. So on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and freely walk out of these prison walls. I'm just so thankful that I don't know, I couldn't be here. I just couldn't be here. And I'll be honest with you guys, it did not have a good feeling walking through those cell blocks, meaning you could just tell it would be so depressed, and knowing that was gonna be their last stop in life. So anyway, on that note, I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but it's real. That's honestly what I felt, and I'm being honest with you. So on that note, take care. Love one another, really love one another, and until our next adventure, I'll see you all soon, and I'm gonna freely walk out of these doors. Bye.